this is an amazing model. Class 66 from Graham Farish is not the newest of tooling, but what I'm seeing here is still a really, really good model that holds its own. And it runs really smoothly, even down to an absolute crawl at a low voltage. And there's no feeling of effort from this model. It really is silky smooth. A big hello to you, so great to see you, and I hope I find you well. I'm Jenny Kirk, and I'm inviting you up here to Weir Yard, where today we're getting the old shrink ray out. In fact, we're going to be delving into the world of 2mm. And I know that a lot of you guys have been asking about what there is in the autumn sales for modelers of the smaller scales, and today I've done just that. I've gone delving around and I've actually picked out something in N gauge for a change. This is also from the TMC autumn sale that we've been looking at quite a few different bits and pieces up until now, and I've picked out something really quite modern, and that's the thing that for me N gauge has allowed, is much more modern image modelling. It's a fresh start, and certainly the cupboard monkey does like all of the really colourful liveries, and that is something that privatisation really did bring to the party. So it's the turn of the Flying Dustman. It's the Graham Farish Class 66 model, and certainly it's been around a little while, but does it still make the grade? Well, today I'm taking a good close look, so come with me in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCC decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support comes from...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model 00 gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
I have to say that N gauge has come on a long way since the days that I got back into railway modelling. We've got rid of those pizza cutter wheels and the rather laughable Class 08 shunters that didn't even have an outside framed chassis. Things really are moving, and sometimes I do look towards N gauge with a degree of enviousness. You can get so much into a small space. It's great for the space-starved modeler, or for somebody that really does want an epic landscape filled with trains and the cityscape that they pass on through. And certainly at some of the shows that we've been to, James Street has been an amazing model to demonstrate just what you can do with N gauge. So today it's the turn of the Graham Farish Class 66, and I picked this up for a knockdown price in the autumn sale from TMC. We do have a link down below to help you find this model if you really like the look of it, and I would also ask a huge favour: do please hit the like button on this video, consider sharing it to social media, and do please subscribe and hit that notification bell to be the first to know about new videos as and when they go up. But does the 66 meet expectations? Is it something that you really should go for, or should you wait until a better model comes along? Well, you could wait forever and ever and ever, and what I really want to know is just how good this 66 model is now that it's hitting the sales. Is it a great bargain buy? Well, come with me and let's take a good close look. After 00, N-gauge is probably the next most popular scale here in the UK, and certainly I know a lot of you guys are N-gauge modelers. It's really, really popular, and you can get a huge amount into a small space. It's one of those scales that historically has been very popular with the modelers who don't have a lot of space but don't want to compromise and do want to be able to run continuous trains and to cram a lot into the space that they have available. Now, in the autumn sales that we've been delving into over the last few weeks, it's not gone unnoticed that there's also a lot of N-gauge items, and I've got this Graham Farish Class 66 here from the TMC sale. They've got them in there at a substantial reduction off the original RRP down to £95 and change, and I thought I'd take a look at this because N-gauge has really come on a lot since the days that I got back into railway modelling in about 2000, 2001, and back then the N-gauge models did seem to be pretty crude. Catalogue number 371-399, this is a Class 66-7 as number 66783, the Flying Dustman in this Biffa red livery, and this is definitely one that caught the eye of Zoe, and this is one that will be used as part of her future model railway endeavours. Now, Graham Farish has quite a long history in the UK, and since they've been bought out by Bachmann, the brand has gone from strength to strength. Now, N-gauge models do come in some really quite resilient cases, which are also good for transporting them. We've also got some paperwork here, and it's amazing the level of detail that we get on these compared with the cruder models that I remember from 20 odd years ago. There's really a lot going on here. Let's have a look. So we don't seem to get a lot of information on there, but a little bit of detail about the buffer beam parts though, and this model does come with extra details which I find quite astounding on a model this small, that they also include detail packs. And we've also got, I'm hoping that this will have some information about DCC Fitting. Yeah, we've got some information actually in here. So we will be doing a full DCC fit of this item. It takes a 6-pin decoder, and I will be using the Train-O-Matic decoder. And this is really quite nice actually. We've got some etched nameplates as well. The Flying Dustman, and these are on a silvery metal with the black paint, so we get a really great effect on those. Because of the nature of the sides of these models, I think that they do benefit from these etched nameplates, because otherwise you get this textured effect on the printing that is present. Certainly on a flat-sided model, I tend to keep with the nameplates that are printed on, but on this model it is a nice touch that Graham Farish recognise that the model will be improved by the addition of etched nameplates and save you the trouble of sourcing them. So just use the printing on the side as your guide, and that will allow you to line them up perfectly. We've also got that extra buffer beam detail. We've got all the pipes, the hoses, and those valances. There's enough here for both ends. But it's an either or with the couplings, it has to be said. So the model itself comes with the N-gauge type couplings. These are quite easy to change, and they actually use the same mounting points as the 009 couplings, and I use the West Hill Wagon Works magnetic couplings. I find that they do make things a lot more reliable, although these ones will allow you to do a degree of uncoupling if you want to do that on your layout. First impressions of the model are actually quite astounding. You look at the detail on this, and if it wasn't for the scale of my hand and the cutting mat that I've got behind this, then quite frankly it would be easy enough to convince you that we were looking at something in another scale entirely. The standard of the printing is really quite fine. We've got a lot of different passes on the printing, and it's perfectly legible. We've got the operator's name there, GB Rail Freight, and the 66783. overhead warning flashes, everything is really nicely legible. Now the buffers themselves are not sprung. To be honest, I wouldn't expect that on a model of this size. What I do like as well though is that we've got a fully detailed cab interior. And this is something we've only comparatively recently started to see in larger scales, so to see it on an N-gauge model is quite staggering. Class 66 from Graham Farish is not the newest of tooling, but what I'm seeing here suggests that this is still a really, really good model that holds its own, with a reasonable level of moulded on detail. I think the handrails are all moulded on, but certainly that increases the robustness. Power bogies don't feature the revolving axle box covers, but to be honest, I wouldn't expect that on this sort of scale. But we do have black faced wheels, and we've got a lot of relief detail, and some of that is picked out in the additional yellow. We do have open cogs on the bottom. Do be a bit careful, these may be prone to picking up some bits of fluff. And this appears to be all-wheel drive on this bogie, and actually all-wheel drive on this bogie as well. So we've got all-wheel pickup, all-wheel drive, which should be a recipe for having a really good, strong puller, even though this is quite a small model. The livery application itself, as we move down the side, is really quite crisp and sharp. There is a little bit of sandbagging of the paint around some of the detail in here. I mean, you're seeing this really, really massively magnified, so it is quite a cruel interpretation, but I will point it out nonetheless. The Flying Dustman nameplate is nicely printed, albeit it's over the louvred style side panelling. This is as per the prototype, but they would have had separately applied nameplates, although we do get those as those separately fitted parts. I recommend using a very small amount of PVA and lining them up with the printed pattern that's on the side here to make sure you get them in the right place. The low relief detail moulded on into the chassis continues. We do have some really quite subtle yellow printing, just bringing out the detail. We've got white and orange here, and I can even read fuel fill. Certainly the quality of the printing on this really is sharp and crisp. Again, the Biffa logo has got the correct pattern, and it's quite a unique font, but it hasn't been compromised by this washboard side of the locomotive, and is still crisp and sharp with no sense of fuzziness. Moving further on, we've got the ladders on the bogies in the correct location. So these bogies do have subtle differences depending on which end of the model they're at. And again, some really quite crisp detail on there, picked out in a host of correct colours, and the printing really is superb. We've got the TOPS data panel, again more overhead warning flash labels on there, and it really is crisp and sharp. And absolutely, this is an amazing model. We do appear to have directional lights as well. Again, it's amazing what they can design into and fit in these N-gauge models. And quite frankly, it does say that if they can do that in a model this small, still keep it DCC ready and provide a sound option, then quite frankly, there's no excuse for not doing that in 00 models. The roof detail too captures this pyramidal style shape that we've got here with the apex. I do like these grills. It's difficult to tell if that's moulded detail or a separately fitted part, but certainly it does the job, and really that's all that matters. The rest of the roof detail, including this roof silencer and exhaust, is really nicely done. And again, I think that is a separately fitted part, but it's really crisp and nicely done. And again, moving on, and we've got that tapering effect on the cab roof produced really, really well to the side there as well. On the DC rolling road, the model performs really, really well. You can see the white lights illuminated in the correct pattern on the forward-facing end, and it runs really smoothly, even down to an absolute crawl at a low voltage. And there's no feeling of effort from this model. It really is silky smooth. Even though Graham Farish recommend a running in period, out of the box this model was absolutely perfect. When running in the reverse direction, again, really smooth. There's no sign of notchiness or sticking from that motor, and we get the tail lights coming on in the correct pattern. All in all, DC running of this model was silky smooth, and even though I'm only picking up from 3 rollers on here, there's no sign of stuttering, and I had no issues whatsoever getting the model running. I'm going to now show you how to DCC fit the model, and I'm going to be using the Trainomatic 6-pin direct plug decoder. To get into the model, well, there's no screws on this, so the body just clips in place, and this can be a little bit tricky. If you've got nails like me, then you just work them in underneath the end of the body shell and just gently ease this apart. And it is a really tight fit, I'll warn you that now. Just work your way along and just try and loosen the chassis from the grip of the body. You might have to spend just a little bit of time working on this, and then eventually you'll see there it just starts to come apart. Let's turn it over and try and do the other side without the first side clipping itself back in, which is often a little bit of an issue. And then you'll feel it just let go and come right away. Now just be a little bit careful. We've got some wires going to the cab unit that is contained within the front part of the locomotive there. Now looking down the inside of the model, I don't see any factory fitted speakers. Sometimes we do get these, but on this model it does look like we've got a slight recess to take a speaker, but no speaker actually fitted in. Just remove the blanking plate. Let's get our 6-pin decoder and very carefully make sure that we line up our pin 1. On the Trainomatic decoders there's a very tiny white mark to show you where pin 1 is, and match that up with the pin 1 on the circuit board, and then very gently slide that in all the way. Then it's a case of, I would recommend just testing on the programming track that all is well, and then when you're happy, refitting the body is quite easy and simple, just sliding down the body and making sure that all is well and clipped into place. Again, you'll just feel the chassis click in, and then we're ready for the layout. When it comes to running, the model performed really quite well. If you turn the lights on using the F0 function, then these are directional, although do note that the red marker lights will come on at the trailing end at all times. If you don't want this to happen, then you can also set red marker lights and the white lights separately on either F1 or F2, so you do get a few options on that. Running on my layout, it performed really quite well, and when you consider that that layout has not been run in well over 6 months, it's been stored in unfavourable conditions, it really didn't phase this locomotive at all, which ran silky smooth from the get-go. It took in all the point work, which is quite coarse 009 by N-gauge standards, and really there was just nothing of note to be a problem. If you're thinking, does it need a stay alive? I can emphatically say no, it really does perform well. Whilst I wasn't able to tax it to an extreme, it did seem quite capable, and that all-wheel drive, all-wheel pickup really did function absolutely perfectly out of the box. So we turn now to the scores. First up is build quality, and actually this model is surprisingly robust, with its flush glazing showing no signs of getting pushed into the cab with handling, and despite the fact that there are a number of separately fitted parts on these, they are incredibly robust, and I found that even with the heavy handling required to DCC fit this, taking the body off, they showed no signs of damage or coming adrift from the model. The only area where the model does suffer a little bit is the vagueness of these N-gauge couplings, although these are the industry standard, though I would wholeheartedly recommend that you choose to move away from these with a number of the different aftermarket options, which would really increase the reliability of running. All in all, I'm going to give this a 9.8. On running quality, the model performed faultless. Even though it does say in the paperwork that a period of running in on DC is recommended, it really didn't need it. It was silky smooth out of the box. There was no sign of cogging or any kind of stiffness from the drive. The motor was really quiet and had a very low current draw as well, which meant that even at incredibly low DC voltages, it worked absolutely fine. Even when handicapping the model on the rolling road by only using 3 rollers instead of 6, thus limiting its pickup from the wheels, it took it completely in its stride. And on my layout, it just performed on track that hadn't been used in 6 months, like there really wasn't a problem at all. It gave a great deal of confidence in its running ability, and really there's no other score than 10 out of 10. On DCC Fitting and Innovation, well, compared to other N-gauge models of the present day, it did seem a little bit limited in terms of DCC functionality. It features a 6-pin decoder socket, and I guess that is testament to the age of the model. It really does hold up well, but a 6-pin decoder socket is something that really would benefit from being upgraded to Next 18. It also doesn't feature anywhere that I could see to realistically stand a chance of adding in a speaker, and that would compromise any sound functionality that this model could give. Even in the fuel tanks underneath, which just pull off, these have a huge chunk of weight in place, which might otherwise compromise any kind of sound fitting, although there is space at the end which a dedicated sound installer such as John JMC, our resident guru of sound, might be able to, in fact no, let's be absolutely fair and honest, would be able to fit the sound speaker system in place. But it did feel like it was due an electrical upgrade, albeit they did make the most of the 6-pin functionality with the different lighting functions for the marker lights and tail lights. And I'm going to give this a 7.9, mostly brought down by the difficulty in unclipping the body and the vagueness of the instructions to guide the user through. On value for money, the model's RRP is just shy of £150, but at the moment in the TMC sale, I've been able to find this at just a shade over £95, which really does make it great value for what is actually a very robust, quite highly detailed model, which you will find a very reliable runner in your fleet. I'm going to give it a 9.0, and that gives us a grand total of 46.6. Well, I hope you really enjoyed today's video and found it informative, and we do have that link down below taking you to TMC where you can find this model in their sale at just a shade over £95, brand new. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments section down below. Just what did you think about the model reviewed today? Are you an N-gauge modeler? Is this something that maybe you've already got one? I'd love to hear of your experiences with the model. Or maybe it's something you're looking to add to your collection, maybe even off the back of this review. And if there's anything else that you really would like to see reviewed in the future, then drop us a line in the comments, and maybe it'll be something that we'll look out for a future video. Please also consider checking us out over on Patreon. It's a great way to help the channel, and a big thank you to everybody who does. And you can also check out our full merch store as well. We've got just underneath the video there. And as the weather gets colder, maybe a hoodie will be a shrewd purchase, and you can be resplendent in some of the exclusive designs that we've got going on down there. But until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying you take great care of yourself. Happy modelling. Bye for now. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCC decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support is provided by...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model 00 gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
I'd like to thank everybody over on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to our Patreon heroes. Without you guys over on Patreon, we really wouldn't be able to keep making the video content that you see on this channel. And don't forget that you can also head on over to patreon.com/Jennifer Kirk and check out the different tiers of rewards. Thank you so much. You are absolute legends.